Hey guys, so I realized I didn't give you a life update.
You having a
And
baby?
oh no, that ain't the
Oh.
one. So it's a job related. I kind of feel Brian a little bit, but I never gave you the most updated news. So I'm going to have to go back a little. So you got to bear with me.
Okay.
All right. So maybe like 3 weeks ago, I believe, my boss came to me and was like, hey, we don't have any room for you next year because of like seniority and I don't have my license and all this stuff about the school system back and forth like that, right? Mm-hmm. And I was a bit sad, but then when I told Nana about it, we both kind of actually felt some relief, to be honest, right? Mm-hmm. But she told me, I'm fighting for you anyway, because she feels like, oh, you're so moldable and take constructive criticism well and have all these great ideas. So I was like, okay. And so we talked about it. And, you know, we have like a lot of businesses like kind of on the back burner. Like, mm-hmm. So we weren't really worried about it and thinking about like, we can do crypto. I can start the boutique up here again and all this stuff. But then last Friday, both of my bosses came to me, the principal and assistant principal, and was like, we did it. You're going to be declared today. And I was kind of happy that my mask was on, you know, because she could really see. And I was like, oh, no. I was like, declared? What does that mean? But I kind of figured what it meant. She was like, we did it. Like, you got the job. And I was like, great. She's like, are you happy? I'm like, yeah, just gotta talk to my wife about it, because we had just talked about it. And I was calm. I felt like everything will work itself out. So I wasn't really tripping on it. But then I kind of was like, oh no. So I called, and mom was actually at the house when I called Nana. And and mom said her face just dropped. Like it was devastating news to hear, like, I got the job. And so it was funny because I was like, okay, maybe this is a good thing, you know? And after year one of teaching, you know, it's supposed to be easier. It's under my belt now. Like, but she just felt like she's like, it's not even for me, the fact that you literally are consumed with the job, because you kind of have to be, because they give you planning time and all this stuff, but you're never actually planning. You have IEP meetings, stuff like that. So it's not until you get home and you have to do it. And then me, because I like to be so creative and gamify all the stuff in the book, because I want to have fun too, as much as I want the kids to have fun. So I can have an idea at like 10 p.m. and then wake up and like, I got to make this whole entire trading card game, and I'll just spend hours on it. And so it's good in a way, but it's, you know, takes away a lot of time and it drains me. And to be honest, I haven't been used to working 5 days a week. Like, this year has been so different. It's been a struggle one way, but the other way, like a lot of my year was online. Mm-hmm. Then we went to 4 days, and it wasn't until this last couple of weeks where it's been 5 days. So I haven't really even experienced the fullness of a school schedule and all the stuff I'll really have to do that I didn't even learn this year. Right. So I was like, as much as I'm trying to convince her that things will be different, I'm not convincing myself, because I know like I will want to give 100%. Yeah. But there's no way I can be selfless to the job and not be selfish to my family. So is like, so I kind of decided this weekend that I'm not going to take the job, and we're just going to try our hand at our businesses in the fall. Like those good healthcare benefits and everything. Like that was another thing. I was like, ooh, but just thinking about like 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. I was like, do most jobs work? You have to work 8 hours a day? I was so confused. I couldn't remember. I was like, I don't know. That's like a lot. And I feel like the purpose for work for me is to have a certain amount of freedom. And I feel so confined by like, I think I really like working with the kids, but there's like all this red tape. There's all this paperwork, stuff that I don't even find is actually necessary in my mind. I just feel like, oh, we must do it because they're saying we must do it, but it's not actually beneficial or really worth anything. So it's like really maddening to have to do all this stuff just to make it above board and standards and da 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 da. And that was the other thing about it as well, because they say every few years the standards change, the curriculum can change. So it's like I can never just be in the flow. Like I can never just feel like, oh, I've mastered this job. It'll always be new. And as much as I like some changes in my day, that's kind of what I get from the kids, because they're all so different and they say funny, cute things. I don't need it to actually be my job that's going like this. It doesn't feel, I don't feel settled. It gives me a lot of anxiety. So I'm just like, weigh the pros and cons, and I just decided I'm going to tell them tomorrow. I'm telling them tomorrow.
Okay.
Wow.
Being a teacher is a lot of work. I feel like it's one of those things you kind of have to have passion for because it takes so much out of you. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's weird because it's like, why should someone have to choose? I wish there was a way that I could be a part of it, especially with this principal. He's so awesome. I feel like the vision is so like perfect, right? It would be great to be a part of, but it's like, why do I have to choose like my family or the job? I feel like I should be able to have my job time during the job time and then have something separate. And it's like goes against what I believe in about as far as self-care and a work-life balance. Like you can't really have one. It's like, I guess, I don't know. I'm like, am I not passionate enough? I do question myself, like, is it really passion? Because I feel like some people do like thrive off of that. But I feel like I thrive in a way, but then a lot of me is also very drained in it.
I think that speaks to a lot of like the work culture especially in the US or in Western countries, is that like we do give our jobs so much. Like I work in production, so like it is easily 12 to 13 hours of my day. And that's not even considering like my business. I'm not married or dating, and I probably could be if I wasn't in this field, but it's also just like, so it is just like trying to figure out that work-life balance. I think a lot of people are coming to that, like, especially after the pandemic, what is a work-life balance? And also like understanding like your goals. Is it to create a retirement in these first 5 years? And then, like people have goals around jobs, but you also do have to be true to yourself, knowing like, I'm not gonna be able to be like my best self in this job. So I got to figure out how to make things work for me in that and still be able to make money. Because even working for yourself, and I think this, working for yourself is a full-time job. But I guess if you are doing it together, then it's still you're doing family time.
Exactly.
The only thing that I hate for you is like, I know you're so awesome with your kids, like, and those kids are gonna, like that next class that would have had you, they're gonna miss out on an awesome teacher because you literally shaped and touched the future there.
And you're like an advocate for him too. And go ahead, Lance.
So you're letting down all the kids is what I just want to think about that as you're telling your principal what you're doing. I will say though, like I know you told me partially that what the situation was and how you were relieved at that. They may not bring you back because of all the politics behind it. And so I know you already had a game plan. And so, they can't, I figure they'll come up with the solution for you. But I just want to say I'm happy for you, proud of you that you're making that decision. It's a hard decision to make, but you're doing what's best for you and your family. And I know it's scary, but got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah.
But you got a solid plan B, just as long as they like you. And if you just let them know, let them down, I don't know, whichever way you got to do it. Hey, you guys told me, you weren't sure and made plans, but maybe next year, just to have that plan B, just to look out for yourself.
Yeah.
I have two things to say. One, I also say, Scala, like you mentioned how much you put into it. A lot of people don't put that much into work. So I think sometimes like you have I think you are passionate about what you do, and maybe you can find some level of passion in whatever you do because you like to do good work in whatever you're focused on, right? So I think that just adds to maybe a level of like, I can't find balance because whatever I do, I want to do it with excellence. And so, so I feel you on that. I can relate. And also number two, there's something called the Great Resignation. I read about it on LinkedIn, like that apparently a lot of millennials are going to want to quit after the pandemic because now there's more stability, and that combined with people realizing what their priorities are, like family and, that balance. And I'm not going to say too much, but I also could relate to those feelings deeply. Okay,
I'm like
you cut that out, Tula.
I'm like the complete opposite. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do more work. Cool. I want to do the hardest jobs right now, because 15 years from now, I don't want to have to do anything. So strategy, everyone's different. Priority.
Yeah, I'm still getting my licensure just in case, I find that it's not as easy as it was in China. But I feel like at least I have a formula. I don't think I've ever worked this hard in my whole life. So it showed me a lot about myself in like a lot of different ways, like my parenting style, what it would be. Yeah, just having a heart for kids. I know like I've wanted to do some after school care kind of enrichment sort of thing with kids. So that kind of confirmed, like I do really like working with kids, but I want to work with them on like with my own standards. I don't want to, because I feel like the worst part was everything outside of the classroom or all the extra stuff, but the actual kids, I love that.
Yeah.
You're so good at kids.
You're a homeowner, so what you going to do? I mean, so what's your plan?
Well, crypto has been treating us pretty decently. So I think on top of that, I'm going to get Nana to really teach me how to do that as well, and kind of go harder with that.
Day trading?
As well. I guess probably. I don't want to be doing as much as she does, because I feel like I would be really sick from looking at the computer all day. But that and the boutique, I want to do like the pop-up shops and stuff, like really get the clientele base up here. And y'all know we actually have a transportation thing that we just never quite touched, but there's that. It's like a whole bunch of stuff I could, like, if I put all that energy I was putting into that job into these, even just a small percentage more, I think that something will happen. But sometimes when that blockage is there, like sometimes you have to release your fear. And once you move that, like I'm set in my mind, I'm not gonna do this, because this was kind of my game plan actually initially, get my licensure and leave. Yeah. And then have that as my plan B. So put that on the side, and then it'll just start to flow. Good things will start to flow. So we shall see.
Yeah, that's a really real, like what you said about putting all that energy. One of my friends who knows, like, have a production company. I have 2 studios. She was like, we work together. So she basically pulled me inside and was like, Twilla, do you realize that if you spent the same amount of hours that you spend here on this show working on, for this studio, if you put that same amount of energy into your own stuff, you would be so good. Like your business would thrive. It would make, because it's doing well on like my little part-time energy that I can give it, so it's just like, exactly. So it is, and it's good that we have ways, like our pastor to PT, he says that God gives us the ability to make wealth. And it's true, like he gives us the different things that we need and put stuff within us to know how to do it. We just got to learn how to use our resources. And when I say our pastor, I think I'm only talking about 3 out of the 5 on this list.
Bryant left us. Potter's house, one LA and Denver.
Sorry guys, I just wasn't getting anything out of it. So
we kind of got to get something out of it, but
so what?
nothing.
What do you say?
Missed it.
I remember there was a sermon back at CFN when I was back home for a couple of years after school, and they said something about people being like a shopper for church. They come in with the grocery cart looking for what they can get from it instead of realizing that they could bring something to that church. Not saying it's related to what you're saying, Bryant, and that you were giving nothing to that church, but I just
what did you do after church?
I showed up. That's what I did.
Fill me up.
I showed up after the worship service to watch. Yes, I did. Yeah.
All of the time, man. You ain't nothing, boy.
Tula, I will say, like, when the pandemic kind of forced you to take a break from production of other shows, you like put that work in. You like had a nice balance. I think you rested a good period of time and then you went to work and you kind of accomplished a good amount of stuff that you're still kind of working on or kind of bearing the fruits of today, right? So I think it's a good example of that.
With that, it's funny because when for work, and I guess as reference, working in biotech, with the pandemic and everything shutting down, I didn't have anything to do. So I took like 3 Harvard courses, did everything I needed to do to get ready for the LSAT, got into the schools, started trading stocks, like portfolio went stupid. And just all the things they're able to do during that time, that was like, dang, Meanwhile, if this never happened, I would have just been, doing the same old stuff. So there's something to it. It's something to that.
And for me in 2020, I went from working out 3 to 4 times a week doing CrossFit to not working out and watching a lot of Netflix. I think I rewatched Parks and Rec. So it was also similar to LSAT things. But I will say, and I was just telling Tula that 2020 was the car wreck I always wanted. And I can't explain because do you guys know those stories where like people you get it already? People get in car wrecks and then like, but they go unscathed, but their car is totaled or something. Or they maybe do get injured and they have to have physical therapy, but they fall in love with their physical therapist and it gives them a new lease on life and they're so much more grateful and their priorities become better and they find a new job, they become a motivational speaker. Basically their life becomes better and they focus on the right things. I feel like
all sounds like Hallmark Channel stuff.
I was thinking the same.
Oh, it is. That's a couple they have like 10 movies like that. And it's like I always call Hallmark white people falling in love. That's all that is. But yeah, so I feel like 2020 was the like thing where it just forced you to change your perspective. It was kind of my least favorite year, even though I feel like we had some hard years as a family, but that was maybe the hardest, or maybe it's just the closest in my memory. But I feel like 2021 is when I got it together. And I was like, you know what? I took like a month off of TV, social media, like all the YouTube videos I watch. I just read more. I think I've read like 8 or 9 books this year, started working out again, got my like health back together, drinking enough water, usually getting enough sleep. So I feel like it took me a while, but I got to my best self. I feel really good. Started therapy again. So I'm in a good place.
Oh, that's dope. You got to do that. For me, 2020, it was kind of the same thing. It was an important year, but I feel like I had another year that was stupid, way tougher. But this was like, I already knew what to do. You know what I'm saying? So like, because I've already had a really tough year and time to sit down by myself and figure it out. When I knew when this happened, it was like, okay, I already know what I got to do. I got to be productive, and take it to another level. And I'm sure there will probably be, other times in the future when those things happen too. Yeah. And, you just take those things, learn from it and just level up. It's like going in, Brian, you'll appreciate this, like being Goku and going into a hyperbolic chamber.
Yes, I really appreciate that.
Whole nother person. It's like you were there for a year, but it was actually 2 days. Nerdy thing you're going to hear from me, just so.
He's the cool one of the family.
Is that the gravity machine thing one?
Nah, it's kind of like it, but it's different. It's time passed very, very slow or went by really, really fast in there. So it felt like you'd be in there for an entire year, but you're only in there for like a day or 2.
It's like literally what Lanson said, Scott. If you could just pay attention.
I was thinking the same thing, but I was like, I thought that I don't know what room that is.
Yeah.
Y'all know the one I'm talking about now.
I will say that with 2020, like Naya said, like I was able to like take a break and then focus. But like, it was like, I think right before that time, if anybody came and visited me and my coworker in our at the lot in our office, you would say, "How are you doing?" And my coworker would be like, "We're drowning."
No one actually cares. So like, all right, cool, keep it up.
We were literally dying, and we were like, "It's so hard, and I don't know if I could do this." And I love TV production. That messes like. It could get really, really hard. And it was just a lot. And so like when the pandemic happened and stuff started shutting down, I was like, yes, I need this break. And then Netflix was like, and we're going to keep paying y'all. And I was like, thank you. So it did give me that time that I needed to like recoup, because I don't think I could have kept working at that level for even another month or so. Like it was a lot.
It was a lot. I remember feeling like I didn't see Twila. She came in at like 2, like just got off of work. Like, I feel like that's illegal here in America, but yeah.
Getting paid.
Well, I think y'all's 2020 helped you to stop, but it made me to go because everything stopped in China, but I knew that we wouldn't be able, we had just finished getting married, we went on vacation, we did another thing, like we did a whole bunch of stuff, and we were just like, oh, it's fine, the money's rolling in. So we just kind of didn't mind living paycheck to paycheck because we both were getting paychecks just coming in all the time. And so when it stopped, I was like, oh no. So I had to come back and work super hard, like nonstop. And I felt like it was just always a growing process. It was like always something changing. And I don't operate well under stress or change. Like, so I usually try to avoid it, but I couldn't avoid it. So it was good to see that I could do it, and it helped me to grow, but it also just confirmed that I don't like that. So after I was like, that's why I was telling Mom the other day, I was like, I can't be mad about how things are turning out, because I didn't necessarily think that I would be out of the profession this quickly, but that's kind of what it was for. Like, it did what it was supposed to, what they say is given what it was supposed to have gave. So I'm done with that. And like, now I can do what I was doing before and kind of not take that sort of lifestyle for granted and just be more focused on actually saving and all that stuff. So it just like, it shifted my perspective. I think like, I know that I before I was like, I don't care about money. Like, it's just like, why? YOLO. And I'm like, that is actually my main goal, to obtain money. You know, I want to be where the money resides. So if I'm doing that or this, it doesn't matter, or just as long as I'm getting it, you know? Yeah. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at. So now I want my break. So this 2-month vacation that teachers get, by the way, I don't know. I really didn't know this much went into teaching. You hear it, but they deserve that 2 months and probably need more, to be honest.
They need more money, but that's another topic.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I feel like my 2020, I feel like I've been going through a period of growth since like 2019. So a lot of things have just been really weird. And so it's been a period of growth and also a period of like, you know, just stop and smell the roses. So I think like starting in like 2019 after I broke up with
Oh, we gonna say it.
Okay.
We gonna
I broke up with
Beatrice.
with your ex. Come on now.
My ex. All right, there we go. With my ex. Yeah, I started going through like a period of growth. It was like, okay, why don't I try, like, there's a lot of things that I want, but why don't I ever try to go for these things, you know? Like, even I think you look at even the car that I had before, it was like a 1994 Toyota Camry that
you tried to give me that car later. I'm sorry.
I tried to give her that car. She didn't take it. You know, it was, you know, you can't go, like, I couldn't go on the highway or go up hills without it smoking or anything. And then somebody stole the battery out of it, like twice, tried to steal the battery out of it twice, and like broke the hood, like messed up the latch on the hood. So it was like, oh, if I'm on the highway, the hood's flapping up and down. But it was like, I was always just like happy with like getting something that takes me from point A to point B. But then I started thinking, like, why don't I have something that I like that gets me to point A to point B, you know? And so it's like learning to like stretch my legs and like getting out my comfort zone, understand like just because I want this does not make me necessarily a greedy or bad person. Like, you can have something nice, but not be like a greedy person, and you can feel like you deserve more instead of like deserve less. And so I think that was all throughout 2020 as well. That was a period of growth. And I think the 2020, I remember I had the business idea, which I'm still pursuing. And like, that was the first time I ever stepped out of my comfort zone, because I always knew I wanted to start a business. So I was like, oh, well, I have the money to start a business now and try to, like, you know, start like this app company, this app thing. And so I was like just pursuing it and growing, like getting over my own anxiety of like, what if I fail? What if I don't do well? And yeah, and so it was like just growing like that. And now I think 2021 is just kind of me learning to like, I have a lot more anxiety about things than learning that I have a lot more anxiety about things than I thought I did before. And like a lot of things. So it's like now unlearning like the patterns that I taught myself, like that limited me from like doing things I wanted to because because anxiety was getting in my way.
Yeah. This is an anxious family, by the way, except for Lanston.
Yeah, we never had anxiety.
Literally had this discussion. He was like, I don't know, I never feel anxious.
No, not everybody's gonna have the same thing, but everybody got their thing, you know.
I'm gonna find your kryptonite.
I
I work too hard.
Yeah, that I just care too much.
Care about people, and that gets me in trouble sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, Bryant. Though, because I was going to ask, like, because I feel like we have at least a mom who is all about having nice things and pursuing nice things without seeming greedy about it. So I was wondering where that mindset came, but I wonder if it came from a place of anxiety. Maybe you reasoned with yourself that like, oh, I don't want to be greedy. I shouldn't, having these lofty goals is equivalent to being greedy, but maybe that was kind of a defense mechanism, to not have to do things that scared you.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's like I don't know if this pertains to what I'm about to say pertains to what you just said.
Probably not.
Which everything I always say never pertains to anything y'all say. But
he goes, not answering that, but what I do want to say.
Don't like that question.
But I do remember at the time I started thinking like, people always tell you to think outside the box, right? But then whenever you try to think outside the box, people tell you get back into the box. Mm-hmm. And so I was always scared to like just get outside of I was always scared to like get out of that box I thought people were telling me to be in, And so it was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna stay in this box. Point A, you should be happy with what you have with point A to this thing that gets you point A to point B. You should be happy with all this others, like just the menial or like in the small, you should just be happy with that. And like at the end of the day, like I started thinking, it's like, well, what if I actually want this? And I started realizing like there's nothing wrong with wanting something, like you can have stuff and be happy. And like, if anything, me staying small, like it taught me to be happy with the small things. And I'm going to be more appreciative of the things that I want now.
Yeah.
But like what people say though don't really matter because there's always going to be some type of dialogue or perspective on the opposite end of the spectrum. So it's like, okay, I want more, but no, be happy with what you got. Okay. Now, it's going to be both sides of the spectrum. So I don't know. Like, I just think it's something where you just got to care about whatever is in your heart and what you want. And, whatever the naysayers or what other people think doesn't really actually matter.
Yeah.
It's like about Oprah Winfrey, like she's a wonderful person and she's a billionaire. So at the end of the day, people say all sorts of bad things about money and all this other stuff, but look what she's able to do with it. So I actually don't listen to nobody, because I know what I want and I kind of got a vision for myself. And so I'll try to line that with what God would want, and everything else, I don't need to listen to a TED talk or read a book for someone to tell me what to do. At times, it's good to get good information there, but it's not the end all be all,
Yeah. I was going to say, I think that also deals with like your circle too, because like in different friend groups at times, like I remember times where I'd be like when I first moved out to LA, a lot of people like friends, people I knew from high school would be like, why are you moving all the way to Los Angeles? And I'd be like, because I went to film school, I do production. I just don't understand why you're moving all the way out there. And then even like my friends who are like my base, my circle, my crew, like when it got hard, when it was really hard for me to be out here, they would just be like, so I actually had a friend was like, so when are you going to stop, stop doing, that and get a real job or do something real? And at that time I was like, oh my God, I got to cut this crew from my circle for a little bit. Like I secluded myself because I was already like, life was hard, but pursuing my LA dreams was hard. Like, you know, like that starving artist thing is real. And I didn't have any family here to help me like pursue that. So then, you know, dealing with depression, I didn't need to hear those voices. So I actually did have to cut those people off. And then during that time, I was able to find a group of people out here who had like the same hustle and the same mentality. It's like, we just want to make movies. But then some people like, I just want to make movies and, you know, it doesn't have to go anywhere, or, you know, like, I just want to make it and be fulfilled. I was like, bump that. I need to make it and I need to get a Oscar for it because I'm working my butt off. So, you know, like, you still have like lofty goals, and it's okay to dream, and it's okay to be like, this, you know, like I have a goal of a neighborhood I want to live in LA, and actually talking to one person, she was actually, who works in LA, who probably couldn't afford to live in that neighborhood, was like, girl, everybody wants to live in that neighborhood. It's never going to happen. And I was like, well, can't talk to you about certain things. Like, you just learn to start cutting people off and keeping your dreams with those people who know how to like speak life to it or support you through it. Even if that's not what they want, they got your back, you know, throughout the process and like cheering you on throughout.
A lot of that hateration though is admiration. That's why I was talking to mom about the other day. I was like, it might come off in a terrible way, but that's why I just like, oh, they're just admiring me. And I just keep it going because you know, representation does matter. And a lot of the times what people are doing are comparing themselves like, she's my age, she's this, she's Black, she's like, what makes her better than me? But then they take it to this other level. But I think it's okay to feel a little jealous and have a little competition because it does motivate you. Because I remember the reason why I even thought about even going outside of the country, because one of my classmates, she was just in Fiji, just chilling in the ocean. And I was like, so this is a thing. Well, then I'm going to be doing the same. So that's what made me want to go travel and do those things. Because I was just like, you know, I don't know if in my head it was saved for a certain group of people or I had to be much older to do those things or something. But I was like, well, if she's enjoying life like that now, why can't I? And just let it be your motivation. But I think a lot of people don't have that capacity to reflect, to even know what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just got to recognize that for them, not necessarily to tell them, hey, you're just feeling this. It's like really for you to know that like, oh, this person is feeling this kind of way, but it's really because XYZ. I mean, I'm not going to hang out with them, but that poor them, you know, just like how dad told us, like, if somebody's picking on you, it's because they probably don't have XYZ. And I think I took that a little too far because I just would be like, oh, poor you.
With the joke, I'm coming to go get you. You're trying to clown me, and I was.
See, I think it was for me. Like, I think even as a child, I had like really, really lofty goals. So I didn't know anyone that had those type of lofty goals. And then again, I just never shared those things because I swear to you, like when I was younger, I wanted to own. I was like, when I'm older, I want to be able to make spaceships, and I also want to make cars. And I didn't know anybody like that.
Elon.
Then, well, years and years later, Elon Musk comes along, and what's he doing? I'm like, man, that's what I want to do the entire time. But it's like, so like just seeing that stuff was like, okay, so these things that I thought about when I was younger that really intrigued me, like these things are possible, you know? Yeah. It's not, you know, so it's like worthwhile. Like just because you don't necessarily see people doing it doesn't mean that you can't go out.
And that's probably the best idea if nobody's doing it. Like, this market is not overly saturated. Let me go on and do this real quick.
Yeah, if you're a pioneer, you're not going to see anyone else have done it, right? Yeah. I always, when I care a lot too much about people's opinions, but I try to get better. I'm trying to get better at it. But one thing I always think about is like, I look at the fruit in their life and then I'm like, do I want that? You know, like, because, you know, I feel like people can only speak from their perspective. It's like, do I want this normal, or not saying normal is bad, but this type of life you're living? Do I want these things that you have as a result of following your own advice? If not, I'm going to just say thank you and keep it moving. I think that's important too.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't share my dreams or whatever, my aspirations with anybody. And that's just since, you know, we all
biblical.
Same household. We went to the same type of school system. So you know how people are. People are going to try to put you down. So for me, I just always, everything I always had big dreams, or I guess we use the word lofty goals here. So I've always had that. And so I didn't know anybody who reached those things. I didn't want to share with nobody. I want to play NFL. I want to be a business owner. I want to do this. I want to travel the world. Like, I'm gonna do it, and I said it one time and everyone's like clown me. I remember telling people I was going to play college and go to the NFL. I mean, the whole locker room laughed. Like, it was the funniest thing ever. And I'm like, good, right? Like, I'm not even like, sorry, like I'm putting numbers, getting, all sorts of accolades. They're like, this guy Lanston, he's funny. This guy, say that again, say it one more time, and then say it again, said it louder, more prouder. Everyone's laughing, but I did it, and although I didn't play as long as I wanted, all these different dreams. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, you got to keep it close to your heart. Now I don't even say anything out loud, so I already know what I'm going to do. And I'm not asking you no more. I'm telling you. And it's even funny with like law school. I'm not going to be like Bryant and name drop someone, but someone who I talked about law school, and like their face just like, I mean, it would just, I don't know, like a hater type of, so hating so bad. But I already knew I was going to do it. But he tried to talk me out of doing it because I've already got a good job and I'm here in Denver. Why would you want to go somewhere else? And I just kind of I played with it. It was I just wanted to hear what he had to say. Like, so what are you really saying? Like, I'm pressing it. I'm stoking a fire, because I'm just curious. I wanted him to almost see that he's hating, and I don't know. For me, now I get pleasure out of it now. Like, I'm sharing you my dreams. And, if you don't like it, it's cool because I'm already going to do what I want to do. But now I know how you reacted, that like, we're not cool like I thought we were. So
you wasn't with me when I was shooting in the courts. And just like you said, don't cast your pearls before swine. Honey.
Okay, scripture come through.
That's so true though.
Yeah, I had to learn that the hard way. I feel like I didn't even talk about my dreams necessarily, but you guys know that weird period of time where I chose not to go get my doctorate in occupational therapy, my previous profession. And it was like, so I just graduated, or I was graduating from grad school, and I was going to do my doctorate. I got into programs, I got residencies that were going to pay for most of my tuition, and just multiple offers. And it only made sense for me to move forward in it. But I knew somewhere deep down that it wasn't right for me. And I think that I wasn't used to people questioning my decisions because I always made like by the book. I guess it was good decisions. I never thought about it until I made this decision to defer from the program and eventually not go to the program. And the way that people looked at me and the way that their eyes glazed over or their face fell, kind of like you said, Lanston, when I tried to explain my reasoning around it, I quickly learned, like, shut your mouth. And I can even understand looking back on how crazy I must have sounded, because there was something in me that I knew that they weren't ever going to know. So to try to explain it and to try to give them such detail as to why, like, that was such a what do they call it, rookie move. But I think I learned quickly, and I do keep my dreams closer now. And I'm careful with who. I'll still talk to my family about things because I feel like you guys understand and are supportive. But even sometimes I just have to move forward. You can relate, yeah. but yeah, I feel like it sounds like we all have big goals and dreams. I feel like I'm excited for the future of what we're going to do.
Yeah, because I kind of feel like y'all are my tribe, like people, like, what I'm saying. So I that's why I'm already kind of introverted, and I don't really like people. I don't want to say it like that, but just to say it plainly,
I hate others.
So like I just am so happy that I already have like my own group to be able to talk to, and we all are pretty like-minded. So it's never going to be like, you think you can do that? It's always like, okay, sounds great. And I just know it's always going to be uplifting. So
yeah. And if it's ever it's not like a dissenting thing, it might just be like criticism or things to take into account, but all constructive and out of love. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will say that I'm excited about just more conversations like these, more like podcasts, because like we're all going through different things in life and we're all at different phases. There's a 10-year difference between me and Naya, so we've been through like all these different phases, but I think we really can glean from one another. Like, I'm the oldest, but I still learn a lot from y'all. And I think there's something to be said in like our experiences and just our bond, and how, we don't have to talk to each other every day, but we still like can get together and have deep convos like this, can be silly, can get in trouble for laughing at church.
Sorry, I just thought about Christmas. Oh man.
Is that the one when we all one by one just walked out of
Man, no, you and Scholastica did. I couldn't.
front row, walked out mid singing?
Oh my
I
God.
had to. I didn't even know anybody else walked out, but I could feel that I was about to literally explode. Like it was just gonna, so I was like, get out.
But it was like
I was
that.
hoping you thought I was crying. Because it was like, I just did this little number. It's like, I hope you think I'm
I
crying.
put her
'cause I
head
can't-
all the way down. I just remember hearing Lance's hearty chuckle from the back. Tears streaming from my face. Like I was like, we are grown, but we about to get a whooping. Mama's
I
gonna
was
whoop
grateful
us.
that like you could smile big. You could look like, oh, I love the Lord. When people were singing. So I was just smiling so big and laughing underneath it all. That was my only saving grace.
I had nothing.
Now, just the words started coming out and how horrible it sounded and how serious he was. I just couldn't hold it in. It was
I never heard of a church just like letting anyone get up and sing. And
They
like,
kept going though. Everybody, they didn't say, let's stop and start over, guys, and
many
get
songs. You don't know the words, it's fine. We'll figure it out together. Oh, that was so good.
So it was a good time.
But yeah. So I'm excited about this podcast.
Me too.
This was a great convo.
This is cute because this is an excuse to have to talk to you guys more frequently than because I wish we could talk every day.
We're not going to live on a commune, Scala. Just get that out of your
It
mind.
could still happen. So
No.
If I buy an island, would you all like live there?
I can visit.
Visit.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want more We Can Relate. Thanks for joining us.